Off top, Irving Magic Johnson's player contract just expired in 2010. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I apparently have surprised my man, Jason Goff. He's back. Charlie's back. Apparently, Charlie didn't get the memo because I got on my fly sexy polo. Jason Goff got on, is that crochet? That's fly. Hey, I see you.
Hey, knitwear. You feel me? Knitwear for the summer. Huh? Tell him real quick.
Charlie.
Look hot, but it stay cool.
Charlie, get it together, man. You look like you got on a public golf course shirt there.
You're betraying me. What did I say before the show?
I sold my man Charlie, and I'm sorry. It's for the fans.
He said, "Don't do something that you did."
I was like, I'm gonna buy a nice shirt and not look like a bum, and you were like, I'm so proud of you. Meanwhile, he was promising he was gonna wear a crop top for this show.
Nah, I wouldn't do that. Then nobody would focus on what I have to say.
Oh yeah, he was like belly button's coming out for one of the summer shows.
I got 2.5 abs left. Y'all gonna see them before they leave. You bet that. Oh my goodness. Anyway, before we get to Team USA and some NFL topics, I was talking to Jason a little bit before the show about this new college football game that I've gotten. Jason, you refuse to get involved?
I'm here.
You here?
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it 3 days early.
All right.
You kidding me? I spent a little change and then got the Madden bundle, which I'm just going to laugh at until Sundays roll around usually. But yeah, I'm here for it. I just understand what I'm not anymore. Like, I learned from Call of Duty that I shouldn't be messing with these kids on the internet. And all college football has made me realize that I still shouldn't be messing with these kids 11 years later. Was it 2014 the last time we had one? So that's all. It's nostalgia.
Make sure you shut the chat off. Shut the chat off because I can't hear from these kids.
I've told Domonique this. Do you know how I might have played the old college football game in the nerdiest way possible? I did not play the game. It was only simulating.
Yeah, it was Jordan Dynasty, right?
80 years of a dynasty.
80
years.
80 years of a dynasty?
Oh yeah. Because I'm pretty sure it was 80 years. It went to 2094. And it was, how far can you take North Texas and that fertile recruiting ground? Can you go for a 1-star? 0 minutes of the game actually played. Thousands of hours spent on the game.
Hey Domonique, though, this is the generation of kids who wanted to be general managers.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? No one, this is everyone blames fantasy football. It's not fantasy football. It's them damn dynasty modes in NCAA. But you have managed to. I hope you turn off the chat. You can avoid trash talking teens.
Oh, no. I don't turn anything off. I want to know what America's youth feel in the moment.
No.
You know what I mean?
You know what they feel?
They got to start somewhere. No, they got to start somewhere, you know? But this is the thing. I return fire. I just do it in a pleasant way. Like, I tell young fellas that are on the game with me, you know, if they start to get a little too ornery, like, put your mama on the phone, that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Love it.
I lie to kids and tell them that I run Activision. When I play Call of Duty, I'm going to suspend their account for 2 weeks, and I have a really good spiel that every once in a while I get a kid to cry, you know, because you know that's their only friends. You know they don't go outside.
I love that there are a lot of white and Asian kids getting to meet their black uncle who ain't messing around with them. Yeah. I personally cannot avoid the trash talking teens. Well, not teens, but trash talking kids, because one of them live in my damn house. And I played my son a couple of nights ago, and he beat me. I threw 2 pick sixes. It was 2 nights ago. And so this morning, Sunday morning, I told him on our way to church, when you get home, fire that thing up. We fired it up. And you know what I did? I went full old man on his Navy. Triple option that boy to sleep. Oh, no. Veer on that man. Read the tackle. You crashed it down? Guess what? Hit the edge on him. Flip it. I threw the ball. You know how you avoid pick sixes? Triple option. I threw that thing 0 times.
0.
21 them. 0 passes. 21 skunked that man in the first half. I'm sorry to my alma mater, Maryland Terrapins, but y'all got that beating that crab bowl against the midshipmen. Came out there with their O-lineman weighing 223.
If you're watching the YouTube right now, I can almost guarantee you that there is a meme up of Domonique Foxworth's face in black and white that says kids like Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Like this is Domonique trying to make sure that his son doesn't enjoy the intricacies of football. To me.
You know how you learn? You learn through pain. You know what? I bet he will have a more disciplined defense next time because he was popping to me the night before when he was winning. He was in my ear.
I love this.
He was in my ear.
Crazy,
And I have a household rule is the gloves come off at 10 years old. I told my oldest daughter that, and all the kids, like up until 10, we gonna play around. You might win, you can get a couple, but at 10 years old, the gloves come off. And I was giving him that. I was playing full, like doing my best, and the man beat me.
So I'm glad that's still around. I'm still, because I feel bad sometimes with my situation with my son who's getting ready to be 8, and we had a little talk a couple days ago, and I had to like sit him down and go, hey. I'm trying to prepare you for the world that you about to go into, not the world that all these ladies is making you soft and think about. And then I started thinking about it like, just get him on the sticks. Like just pass him a video game real quick. You know what I mean? Let's get out of Sackboy and all these other fun games. No. Throw that NCAA in there and let's see what's happening with it. He wants to go to Michigan, so he's I'm trying to teach him about like the pageantry and the romanticism of Big Ten football. But you doing that with Navy is just sadistic and downright cruel. You are the jigsaw of fatherhood to me when it comes down to it.
He's never gonna forget that triple option. He gonna figure out what to do with these midshipmen sooner or later. I know that damn
nothing. Yeah, but watch that game at the end of the year like we all do.
he better figure it out. I know that much. But the other thing is like there are certain rules that don't apply anymore. I guess kind of unwritten rules of video games that no longer apply. Where it's like, which I respect that he picks like middle of the pack teams. Because I don't respect anybody who come in there and is like, give me Alabama, give me Georgia.
Yeah.
Nah, that's
unacceptable.
unacceptable.
Find out what a man is made of.
I thought I had to teach him that. I didn't have to. Also, like, there's no quitting. You either get 21 or you play this thing out. If you don't get 21, you play it out. I don't care what the score is now. There's no quitting and there's no like.
You should start taking these. That'd be hilarious. No quitting? Fine, Dad.
Yeah, that's fine. This is what you want to do. That's what you do. But these are things. No, I don't tell him this. It's things that I learned when I was playing, and I was encouraged to know that he still believes these things because he cocked his controller back on me one time. He cocked it back. Not at me, just like
to throw it.
In the game that he ended up winning. So there was a lesson to be learned there because I threw 2 pick sixes, but one of them I had a good enough lead, and he felt like it was over. He cocked it back, and I ain't say nothing. I want to see. Go ahead, throw it. I can afford a new controller, but I want to see what you made of. Pulled that thing back down.
I have a graceful transition here.
Oh yeah, there was an obvious transition right there.
Well, Team USA almost rage quit, but they didn't rage quit against South Sudan this weekend.
I like announcing it. It's like, I'm about to hit you with this serious crossover right here.
Yeah.
That's right.
Restaurant quality teas right there.
That's how you do it. That's a professional. Botching the transition by announcing the transition.
I love it.
You can tell I'm really experienced with this. But Team USA's offense kind of stinks for the amount of talent they have. What did you think watching that game against South Sudan? They were 43.5-point favorites. This would have been like Chaminade beating Virginia with Ralph Sampson if a team that has one NBA player beats this team of NBA luminaries. Jason, what did you think watching that game about how Team USA looks?
Well, what I thought overall is great for basketball. And I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, no. It's great for basketball that this is happening. I mean, all you got to do is take a look at the draft. All you got to take a look at the MVP voting. I've talked about it for the last year and a half on my pod that, hey, y'all, when Burna Boy in Salt Lake City, Utah at the All-Star game, hey, this game is getting ready to not be for you. Okay? So like let's start to really talk about what's happening with not only the way that these young players are being brought up in the systems here in the United States, but also what's happening with the game globally. Like, I saw a whole bunch of stuff about what would the 92 Dream Team have done against South Sudan. Let me tell y'all something right now. The reason why South Sudan could get good so quickly is because of that 1992 Dream Team. You know, Luol Deng, Chicago Bull legend, a couple-time All-Star. Dude was at the top of his high school class with LeBron, right? Like, this dude, what he's done done after his 15-year NBA career and putting together that kind of team with a federation that didn't exist until they said, hey, you want to do this, with a war-torn country, like all the things that have happened. This is the youngest country in all of the world, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that they've done this with no indoor facilities, outstanding. For USA basketball, hey man, this is what happens when you put together a bunch of really talented players who are all the lead dogs on their team. You find out who could play basketball. Yeah. Like, I'm tired of acting like dudes that are just nice are hoopers. Right. And I think what we're seeing is you could be a hooper and not be the nicest dude on the squad, but it stands out that you're a hooper. Carlik Jones is a hooper. I saw him for a little bit here in Chicago. Like, he could play ball. So it just shows you that if you can make it through those filters, you can go up against anybody. And the fact that the hierarchy made itself very clear down the stretch of that game. You could have all the, Edwards saying, I'm going to be the man on this team. And, Devin Booker being the dude who, like, moves with that quiet confidence. Joel Embiid being the guy who pretty much the Peyton Manning of basketball. We were like, all right, now when it's going to happen? Aww. When it came down to it, LeBron James and Steph Curry said, hey, let the big dogs eat. I'm good with it. I'm good with it, man. I'm good with it.
I appreciate your positivity in all this. That game shouldn't have been that damn close. I understand all the things that you were saying. I'm hesitant to be concerned about this. Also, you said something about the game being taken, or not taken over, but other people getting involved in the game. There's a story from Miami that I have to share with you at some point about a game that I did not expect for a group to be involved in, but I'll bring that to you later. Just don't let me forget that, Charlie.
You got more familiar with their game, is what you're saying?
Yeah, put a pin in that. I'll tell you about it later. Because someone told me they played a game that I was shocked that they played. But anyway, the point is.
Okay. Oh, now I got it. Okay, we'll get to the end of the podcast. This will be a treat. This will be a treat for you.
I got to figure out how to present it.
You've spent so much time with Mike Greenberg. You just did an all-time tease.
I'm about to say, damn.
I can't. The next segment.
I don't want to fumble this.
In 36 minutes and 12 seconds from now, you will be paid off.
I don't want to fumble this. I got to figure out. I only have one chance to present this to Jason Goff, and I don't want to fumble
just say it and they'll edit it out if it's too bad.
Oh no, it's so pure.
No, it's not. It's not that it'll be bad. It's that I want you to be the maximum amount shocked, and I don't want to fumble. Okay. I got to make sure that I present it to you.
All right. But anyway, I'm gonna forget about it right now.
Clear it out. Clear
the
cache and get back to this. I think the thing that jumped out to me is there are certain players that are not as, and I think this is similar to what you're saying. Like, some people are hoopers and they're comfortable, and this is the challenge of putting together a team that is this talented, and a challenge of the amount of politics, I guess is the right way to put it, in building this team where we want to put together, because I remember there was a time when the Team USA was like, we want to put together the best basketball team, not the best collection of talent. And I think that they still have a great collection of talent that could also be the best players on their team. However, there are a lot of guys on this team that have only been in one role their entire life and don't have the ability to play other roles. So when gets tight for Devin Booker, you know what he does? Shoot jumpers. That's what he does. He doesn't find other ways to do it to impact the game. He had that one playoff run when I was like, oh, Devin Booker is ascending to like top tier NBA guy that can give the team whatever they need when they need it. That was a couple series and we ain't seen it since. And I feel like him and I'll clear out for my man Charlie to get on Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid did a New York Times interview this weekend that I listened to, and
we'll get to it.
And generally is kind of surprisingly ill-suited for this team and this style of play. It's surprising to me, and Charlie feels differently, I think.
Not surprising to me. I mean, look, I'm actually
not to me either.
I would not be shocked if this team doesn't win a gold medal. Like, obviously they should, but their offense is gross. Like, I'm sorry, like this is in FIBA basketball where there's so much more contact and it's so free flowing in the game. There aren't these stoppages. Like, a week ago we're debating if Derek White should have been on this team. Him and Holiday being out there being role players, they have to be on this team. Seeing guys, to your point, Jason, like Curry and LeBron and Anthony Davis, who has made an incredible transition from his time in New Orleans to being like incredibly apt at being a defensive stopper and an offensive role player. Those are the guys that are playing international basketball. Like, I actually wonder if Grant Hill was thinking about this again if he would have taken all 4 Celtics who could play together at a time with a big, or some of the Nova guys like Brunson and Bridges together, and had them these lineups that know how to play together. Because that's the jarring thing is like, okay, we can see LeBron and Davis play together. We can see Holiday and White play together. We can see Curry play with, I mean, Curry can play basketball with anyone, but watching the end of that South Sudan game, I didn't want Anthony Edwards, who we all love. I did not want him touching the basketball because you know it was going up. And he went 1 for 7 in that game from 3, and he's been fairly good in the run-ups. But Steve Kerr has a coaching thing where he needs to get them to play team basketball. The ball moves faster than any player.
So this is the issue that I have when I've been watching this team. And shout out to my man Adam Amin and Bill Raftery on the call. Like that was outstanding here, and I got to do that game. I don't know that. All right. So the problem is you can't do all right, let me get this guy because he's a good screener, this guy because he's a rim defender, let me get this guy, because then you're going to have people in this country saying, this is the best we could send over there, so you're never going to be able to put together a team that really looks like a team. But what you have to do is kind of have to go back to 92 a little bit and go, okay, this guy is so old that at some point he ain't going to be able to take over these games, and I'm going to have to insert this young dude who's the ascending guy, a la Michael Jordan, right? Mike was 1 title deep, 2 titles deep when that 92 team came around, and, Magic was on the way out. Larry was, laying on the floor because his back was killing him. You had Karl Malone, who was ascending, Barkley, who was, right there getting ready to be an MVP. You got a bunch of people on this team because of where the NBA has been structured. Now, remember when a 15, 17, 18-year career looked like 15, 17, 18 years? You got, right?
Yeah.
Like 18, you'd be looking at James Buddha Edwards like, man, he can't even get up and down the court. Now, 18 years in, he's got these big men running up and down the court beating guards. And now those big men have become guys like LeBron, right? Kevin Durant when he's healthy. So you don't have that natural, like, okay, these guys are getting ready to take over and we trust them to do so. And these older guys are getting ready to see their way out. These older guys are still out here playing primetime basketball. So it's hard to build that team thing that I think that they're looking for. And on top of it, man, it's $1 billion worth of player on the court at all times. Like, that matters. You can't even control an NBA locker room with 14 millionaires in it. You get down to the nitty gritty. I saw moments in that game where Steph was on the line getting ready. I don't know why he was on the line actually in this moment to box somebody out, but LeBron is yelling, Steph, 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 and Fox cuts to Steph just playing with his mouthpiece in his and is sitting there like, wait a minute, Steph has never been called on like that to, hey, you go here, you defend here. You know what I mean? Like, those roles matter. So after the kicking it and the golf and the hanging out, you get down on that court. Like, that Serbian team wanted smoke. Like these teams are ready to kick their. And if they don't think it's going to change just because they added, you can't just be like, all right, we're going to bring the real guns out this time and see what we're talking about. Well, guess what? Everybody else been waiting for you. So you have to have played some kind of basketball or understand some roles some way, somehow. When Anthony Edwards comes out and be like, hey, I'm the number one on the team, with a guy who, and Steve Kerr, who said what he said about him, like, there's no way to build what is a hooping team, but there is a way to build we're the superiorly talented team. And I think that's what you're going to continue to see until they start to make this thing look more like, a basketball team and less like an all-star game.
Sounds like a job for LeBron James, the only player that they respect enough. No, I'm being serious. I think that LeBron has the cachet, hopefully, in his ongoing documentary that he is making. This will be another chapter in that documentary where this team is going to be brought together by LeBron James being able to teach or to have the presence and cachet to have guys who don't play team basketball.
It's gonna be a lot easier when Durant comes back too.
Yeah,
like Durant obviously knows how to play offense with Stephen Curry.
Yeah,
he's gonna play great with LeBron. Like
Who knew you needed Melo this much, right?
That's perfect.
Olympic Melo.
Yeah.
I wonder if LeBron's looking at some of his Team USA teammates being like, Bronny's better than these cats, and it's lightweight hilarious.
Oh gosh, stop.
You're a bad person.
He is. Every episode he finds a way to take a shot at young Bronny.
I mean, to be fair, and we could pivot to the Embiid part about this. And Joel Embiid's PR has blown a 3-1 lead. And an unbelievable, the most beloved guy from the process. He gives this interview with the New York Times, and there are so many highlights. I'm going to end up missing some of them. But he criticized the Team USA roster, saying that the names, including LeBron, are older than what they appear on paper, and the expectation should be tempered for that. He said that Subway made the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia. I mean, that honestly, that might be like the softest launch of a trade request I've ever heard in my life. Step one. And he also did the thing where he said, if it wasn't for injuries, I would be in the GOAT conversation, which, like, whatever you believe about that, come on, man, those injuries did happen. If doesn't exist. So when I think about the Embiid stuff, how do you think, like, Domonique, you're a defender of athletes being taken out of context. You're a defender of athletes.
That's
doing,
ridiculous.
That's a wild.
It is.
That's a wild bio right there.
Defender of athletes taking out. Who is a supporter of taking people out of context?
But you are you will stump for any of these guys. How do you feel about
post
him?
a lot of bail is what he's saying.
That's exactly
Domonique.
right.
You're the bail bondsman of NFL, NBA, and sometimes Major League Baseball.
I'm gonna get him out
athletes.
until the trial happen. I want my man on the streets.
As
The prosecutor,
the
Player union
public
head.
defender of
Player
Joel
union head
Embiid,
right there.
as the public defender of Joel Embiid, how do you feel he came off in an interview like this?
Poorly. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to defend.
That says it all.
It's tough to defend the way.
That's great. I'm gonna get him off. Hey, by the way, you're going to jail.
I'm not.
That was terrible.
I'm not sending him in. But I think it's tough because he isn't playing well and he's not getting. Anytime you're talking about if this happened, like if somebody asks you a question, and I listened to that interview, I don't remember the exact question that led up to his GOAT conversation, but if someone asks you that question, then it's like it seems like an obvious one to sidestep. Is like, that's not why I play the game. I play the game for my team. I want to win a championship. We count up all the pelts at the end. Like, I don't know. That's like, that sees what you're doing, saying I would be the greatest. It like that. That's some loser right
tough.
there. I'm sorry. That's some loser right there. Like, I think we all can do that in our lives. I could do that about my career. I could be like, had this gone this way, had this gone that way.
I could not do that.
I mean, you could do it about things in your life. I'm sure, not your athletic career, but things in your life.
You got tennis, Charlie.
Yeah.
I could have been a slightly better rec tennis player,
But
not for being fat and slow.
forget tennis. Everybody has things in their life that they could point to and say, if this, if that. And maybe it keeps you up at night. But getting on a microphone and saying, I might be the greatest.
Do you want to explain the reason why? He blamed his son. You don't remember that?
Yeah,
He
I
blamed
do.
little Arthur.
I mean, that's always a good way to go, to be honest with you. I'm not even fronting on that. I like blaming on my child all the time. You know what I'm saying? All my shortcomings happened in the last 7 years or so. But you know what? I always ask this question, and I want to be serious here. I always ask this question when I hear athletes say things like this. The first question that I ask is, were they talking to Taylor Rooks?
He was not. He's talking to someone very far from Taylor
New York
Rooks,
Times.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know if the Times had hired her, because usually when athletes get in front of Taylor Rooks, they start to inflate what they are or could be and are looking forward to be honest with you. So usually when that happens, you know, when Joy or Taylor Rooks or Malika or anybody sits down in front of these dudes, they start to, you know, say things that maybe are unbelievable at times. And maybe Joel, you know, sat down in front of somebody and was like, you know what, it's time for me to let people know that I belong in the GOAT conversation. You know, I heard Dwayne Wade say that, you know, without his injuries, he could have been MJ as well. You know what I'm saying? And it happens. It happens.
The best defense I can mount for him is it's a human thing to think. It's not a smart thing to say. Like, I think all of us have times where you think about different things. I don't think that's unrealistic. And for his career specifically, I think he's right. Without injuries, maybe he's not the GOAT, but we talk about him and treat him differently than we do now. And it's fair for him to think of it. But to tell that to somebody seems like a mistake.
The injuries. So this is the thing. This is all, especially basketball. You know, football, sometimes we do celebrate a player's career depending on the success they've had in playoffs, depending on what position they play, obviously quarterback, you know. But if you are a premier pass rusher who never got to the big game or never won the big, like, we ain't looking at Julius Peppers like, man, how could you not win a championship?
Right.
But in basketball, if you that dude It's the greatest reality show on television. If you're the dude or if you're the girl in WNBA, we gonna find out. The game is gonna tell you the truth, and the only truth that we've seen out of Joel Embiid is that you premium play, MVP caliber dude, but at some point that body's gonna give out on you, and the body hasn't looked a lot different than we saw it look when he entered the league. So it's not far fetched for us to be talking about what Derrick Henry spent on his body and what LeBron has been spending on his body for all these decades, and then look at the guy and go, man, you've got Akeem Olajuwon's feet. You are a load. You can shoot threes. There's no reason why that dude shouldn't have had the beginning to the career that Nikola Jokic has had, and then the fact that Nikola Jokic met him and then lapped him. Like, we sitting here talking about a dude who we out here like, get up, Rock. You can do it, Rock. Come on now. I'm rooting on you. But in the end, how many years are we gonna do this? That's why maybe the Peyton Manning thing was a tough shot, because I love Peyton Manning as a quarterback, but what did we say about him every year with the Colts until that fateful Sunday in Miami against the Bears when he and Tony Dungy did what they did? We always thought that Peyton Manning was a dude who only got it done in the regular season. It's okay. Like, that's what your lot in life is until you prove otherwise. And these showcase games, he hasn't, like, I'm expecting him to dominate for the moments that Steph and LeBron and some of these other guys aren't taking their turns. Meanwhile, I'm watching Anthony Davis be the best big man on the team and Bam Adebayo be the second best.
That was probably the worst thing that he said, was the stuff where he said that the team is older and these big names aren't as good. It was the worst thing that I saw, in part because he's not playing well. And because
he's older.
Yeah. I mean,
he's part of it.
Yeah, he's older. He's part of it, but he was not talking about himself. And then we watch him play and it's like, oh, but you can't really be the guy that's saying these guys aren't as good as they used to be when you are also not as good as you used to be. And at least they're still playing well and contributing in these exhibition games. But yeah, that was a bad look. I ain't got no bail for him on
Joel. I worry about Joel because when's the last time you thought or felt like Joel Embiid was having fun playing ball? Like, remember when Joel was kind of hurt, hopping around stages on the Rihanna concert, and Joel was doing all the funny Twitter stuff? It seemed like he was having more joy, and then everybody's like, hey, take this thing seriously. And then he started to take it seriously and kind of get some of the similar results and have less fun. Seeming like, when's the last time you watched ball? It was like, man, Joel out here enjoying himself. Like, that dude is too damn talented to feel that way, man.
He used to be so fun. Domonique blames me, and he said people like you are the reason because of making fun of him for not getting in the second round. I mean, if I were to criticize Joel Embiid for this, I would say maybe he's preemptively excuse making now that he doesn't have Ben Simmons, James Harden, Doc Rivers, Daryl Morey to blame. He's like, maybe I can blame LeBron for being old if we lose.
That's pretty sinister of you, Charlie. I gotta be honest.
I'm not saying that, but that's what I could be saying if I were to be one of those people who ruined Joel Embiid's joy in life.
That's what could be said, huh, Charlie?
Oh gosh. Leave a man alone. Yeah, it's hard to defend him. I don't got no more. I rest my case. We'll send it to the jury and see what happens there.
This is one of the few. I was totally fishing when I sent Domonique this story initially. I thought that you were gonna be dig in and be in full defense of this, and your response is just like, nah, this
indefensible.
is
No, it's because I listened to it and I watched the game, and I'm like, man, it's tough. Like, I get, and my best defense of it is like, yeah, these are fair things to think. These aren't smart things to say. That's all. Can we talk about football?
Yeah.
Please, let's talk about football.
Guys, we made it. Training camps are starting. Whoop, whoop. Football is back. This is an open end. I'm going to toss to you guys first on this, but, you guys are fans of teams that are prominently going to figure into the storylines of the NFL season. What's the number one training camp story, if you're going to pick one, that you're looking forward to going into this year? Jason, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a homer, but I'm happy to be one.
Yeah.
It's the Chicago Bears and their lack of success at a position that they chose number one overall, and a guy that everyone seems to believe is a generational talent in the making. The fact that they have chosen not to be a part of any behind-the-scenes situations regarding the NFL and have to do Hard Knocks this year with that number one pick overall. The fact that this might be the most talented wide receiver room, including the one that I saw with Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey and those boys back in the day. Like, there's a lot here. And, this is also something that, the Bears are still one of those teams that's run by a family, and that family hasn't let people in a whole lot. And I know Kevin Warren comes over from the Big Ten, and comes over from Minnesota, but you get a chance to see how people move around that building. So I think the offseason is going to be on full display. I think the New York Giants Hard Knocks offseason programming has led to so much intrigue here in this city because of how often the Bears are actually mentioned in that Giants situation in episodes 2 and 3 with Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams, and then driving up the price of Saquon Barkley. So if it was out of town, for me it would be the Philadelphia Eagles, but definitely in town here, and I think a national storyline. Hell, he's on the Sunday Night Football promo and hasn't taken a snap yet outside of the training camp snaps on Saturday and Sunday. So I think it's the Bears for me.
I think that's a natural alley-oop to me because I think first I'll respond to you, but I think the Eagles is the big burning situation that I'm interested in. The Caleb Williams stuff, like you don't have to call yourself a homer. We all care about this, and I care about it specifically because they have set up a situation, with the exception, I guess you could knock the Eberflus that he's still there. I'm fine with him being there, but this feels like one of the best situations for a first-round, number 1 overall quarterback that we've had in a long time. And to me, that's important because we preach around here often about how I think the situation is more important for a transition into the league than the player. We'll see about Shane Waldron as the offensive coordinator, but I think most guys drafted in the first round are good enough to play in football or to play in the NFL and play well. Whether they do or not, I often think is more a reflection of what's done around them. There's no holes you can poke in what was done around Caleb Williams, and he has the talent. So I personally want this to work out so I can use this as an example of how other teams should set up for their quarterback.
So I have a question on that before we get to the Eagles stuff. Do you feel because the situation is actually set up for him to succeed early? I know the offensive line has some shakier parts compared to
it's still pretty good, though.
Yeah, but like it's less invested in the wide receivers and skill position players. Do you feel that actually changes your expectations from this year? Do you expect him to be good immediately? Does that, because part of the growth of a rookie quarterback is you get to surprise early. Like we saw with CJ Stroud last year. How
I guess my hope would be that they find ways, and this probably sounds like a broken record to people who listen to me or watch me, is they find ways to take pressure off of him. And they can win without him. I think that Dak Prescott is the example you can look to. Russell Wilson is the example you can look to, where it's like, look, we have this young quarterback. We're not going to ask him to do much.
Yeah, but he's different. He's generational talent compared to third-round pick.
But he doesn't have to be different. If this team is as good as they look towards the end of last season, and then the additions to the team, Rome Odunze turns out to be good, Keenan Allen turns out to be good as we expected. The defense holds up even as they did towards the end of the season. Offensive line played better when they were all healthy late in the season. All those things happen, then you won't have to ask him to do very much. I think that's where you go wrong with a lot of these quarterbacks. You're like, all right, we got this guy. He's great. Now go be great. And I think those things can stunt a player's growth because they're trying to compensate for either a bad offensive line or compensate for lack of receivers or outscore an opponent that's scoring a lot of points because their defense sucks. And then you get in a situation where you are training these bad habits and you are not adding to your game anything useful. You're like deforming your game in order to fit the situation. So my hope is that Shane Waldron, who is a play action type of guy, is like, oh yeah, they got Eckler too, a good receiver out the backfield and running back, that is like, all right, we're not going to ask you to do nothing special. This defense is going to keep the opponent under 20, under 17. Just chill. Hand it off. Yeah. Make these simple reads. All right, we in a tight game at the end, go do something special. Like, that's what I would like to see out of them.
Yeah, make 2 or 3 good throws a game and rely on your defense. You know, my man Alex Brown, who was on that last Super Bowl team, has been talking to me as of late on the pod about, you know, what happened with Rex Grossman, what happened with Kyle Lorton, and making sure that you're not asking guys who aren't ready to do too much. Yeah. And this is the other thing too. I mean, he's now, instead of having to deal with, you know, making sure guys get home early and, you know, don't go to certain places in Southern California, he's now looking at a wide receiver room where, hey, DJ Moore ain't nobody's number 2. And Keenan Allen is trying to get paid again. And now you've got a young rookie who you come in the game with, and, you know, Dominique, you've been in these locker rooms before. These 21, 22-year-old dudes, they here to show and prove. You got to take some food out of somebody's mouth. So I'm looking forward to seeing not only how he deals with the on-the-field stuff, but dealing with a talented wide receiver room where there's millionaires that you're talking to instead of underclassmen. How you deal with some of the things that it came up in the New York Giants Hard Knocks HBO special where, I think one of the people in their front office was like, hey, he didn't talk to reporters after the UCLA game. That's going to be something we would have to deal with here in the city of New York. Like, would that happen again? So Chicago, considers itself and is a big time media market. Like some of the stuff that's happening on the field, timeouts and delayed games and getting people into the right sets, that's going to be the intriguing part. But if they go, 7-10, 8-9 this year, I won't be throwing my controller against the wall. But if he has issues with some of the logistics, some of the the operation stuff that quarterbacks need to get down pat early. The CJ Stroud season was an outlier.
Yeah.
God bless him. I'm looking forward to seeing him perform again, but now the expectations are on him. And like you said, Dominique, sometimes you get handed those things before you're ready to, and you're sitting there like, hold on, I'm a good prospect. And the league is like, no, we gave you time. And I think that happens far too often with quarterbacks. So we'll see how Caleb handles all of that.
Yeah, that's the scary thing is I feel like if your game hasn't grown enough to a point to take on certain things, you end up like, excuse the analogy, but putting blocks under your feet so that you can reach these levels, and then you're not on a stable foundation. And then eventually, whether you reach it early or not, eventually it falls from underneath you. And that's the scary thing for there. And then there's also the concern of Jaden Daniels being really good early on too, because that becomes pressure on you. That I think that certainly.
Don't worry, we'll mess it up.
No, it's a new regime here in Washington. I'm confident that Washington's going to figure it out. Can we do Eagles now?
Yeah. Of course.
I'm sorry to
it's your show.
Yeah. Oh, I was asking to be polite. Coordinator talk. The Eagles' issue last year felt like offensive and defensive coordinator. Health of the quarterback, probably part of it. But when you go back and watch those games, there was a lot of scheme issues. There is not an issue with talent anywhere on that roster. They added more talent. That's the big question. So Kellen Moore coming over to take over the offense. Vic Fangio is taking over the defense. Two pretty proven coordinators. That's the big question is will they be able to me at least, they were last year, should have been one of the best teams in the NFC in a weaker NFC. And they just fell apart. They had no answers for the blitz. They seemed like they couldn't stop. I was going to say stop the run, but they couldn't stop anything towards the end of that season. And they brought in some coordinators that are proven and successful. And the question is, can they get these guys to play well? And are they going to put my white man in?
I was about to say, you're not going to talk about your large adult son from Iowa?
Coop. Put my man Coop
Don't
in.
they have two of them?
They got two. They got two of them. But Coop's my guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's an athlete, man.
Coop's my guy.
That
I want them
crazy.
to put him at corner just to show that it can be done.
Do you think that they're going to have
Sven is acting like finding water on Mars is the same as having a productive white corner.
Hey, show me the water on Mars and show when you show me these things, I will act less like it's a big deal. I haven't seen it. If you seen it, then that's fine.
I ain't seen it.
Well, then we need it to happen then. Oh, God.
No, we got to go back in somebody's lineage. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like how Carleek Jones can say he's from the South Sudan, we got to go back in somebody's lineage. Like, hey, Buster Screen had a white granddaddy or something.
I'm sure somebody. I mean, Cortland Finnegan was mixed, and people was trumpeting Cortland Finnegan for a long time. But y'all can't brown bag test us when it suits you, and then not when it don't. Like, no, Cortland with us too. He with us too. He with us too.
Just a tiny bit of
fact. For all of y'all googling brown bag test, by the way,
tiny bit of fact checking here. We actually found water on Mars in 2008, and Jason Sehorn retired in 2003. So it actually,
coincidence? I think not.
It is more rare to have a white cornerback than find water on Mars.
Nah, that's that conspiracy. See, that's you believe in the mainstream media, Charlie. There's been white corners running around out here for a long time.
Have any of you guys ever been to a Jason Sehorn game in person? That might have been CGI.
I saw him in an airport once.
But did you see him play football in person?
It's the Wilt 100 game. We're just watching Jason Sehorn in the Pro Bowl jersey, and it's not for real.
I haven't seen these moon ice rocks either. They just told me it was there. Do your own research.
this is why y'all
I'm
ain't gonna
sorry.
ask me
I'm sorry. Charlie, what did you bring for us to discuss before I tell Jason the final closer of one of our
no. We should skip mine. We got to get directly to this because I think Cooper Jean might play the game that you're going to talk about.
Okay. I met a man in Miami, an adult man.
Right.
I mean, he's probably 60-something years old. And he said that he loves, he's a white man. He said
56 years old.
Okay, 56 years old. He said he loves to play cards, particularly spades. And this guy does not give off, I'm comfortable in every environment. So I was shocked because once you hear that, you assume that this man, and I said, oh, I didn't know you played black games too. And he was like, what? What do you mean black games? I said spades. Like I don't know who invented spades, but y'all let us have that. Like we took it a long time ago. And he was shocked. Does that not blow your mind that someone could be a spades enthusiast and also not know that it's like dominoes, I guess. It's a staple.
It's basketball.
Yeah, it's essentially basketball.
Like, I mean, we all know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Doc Naismith, but we'll take that for a minute. Damn. So 56 years old. By the way, when you told him that he had played his last hand of spades, sounds like to me. sounds like he was gonna move. Like, don't tell him about Tom, because then it's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah,
right?
he may not go back to spades. He may not go back.
50. See, and before you said you didn't think that he trafficked in these spaces, shall we say? Like I was gonna hit you with like a Scott Van Pelt immediately. Like bang.
Nope.
SVP been around this for a minute now.
He does not traffic in these spaces.
Ooh,
I don't know how do you. So this is the question for you.
It was completely
how do you
genuine.
Find that many white people to play spades with is what you asking? Like, or how do you not bump into a group of black folks seeing the spades out on the table?
All of that. All of that. How do you not know? That's it. That's all I want to know. It's like, okay, here we go. If I run into a white man who is really good at basketball, he is going to also understand, I play with some brothers every now and then because we
took
we are basketball now. Like, right, Jason?
That's the Team USA slogan from here on out. We are basketball.
I'm trying to tiptoe because I don't want to offend people, but there are certain things that have come.
You can't laugh at this.
There are certain things that have come to be accepted as kind of facts, and so much so that they're like commonly known.
Now that I think about it, I don't know that I've ever played spades with a white man.
I haven't, and I just don't know.
Except for on the computer, right, where they trick you with
cheating
like
too.
I don't
like that.
These are the white rules. Yeah. It's like a spades game with its own drinking fountain kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry that I've posed such an impossible question for you.
Look at Charlie. That foot just going over there. And Charlie like, all right, wrap this up.
That's the best line of the podcast.
I do appreciate.
And shout out to what's our guy's name? Is it like a white name that they gave to us as well, like Leroy or something?
His name is David Sampson, former president of the Florida Marlins.
Oh, the Marlins guy.
Yep.
Well, we should end the segment.
I was shocked.
He was so genuine about it.
Shocked and a little offended and appalled.
I'm not shocked though. Like,
no,
him not knowing.
No,
that.
I know, I get it. However, it was still surprising. Like, oh man.
So does he count like the baseball? Well, never.
Nope.
We'll talk about it often. Yeah.
So
let's talk about it.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Another all-time great episode from a Hall of Famer, Jason Goff. Thank you, Jason, for joining us.
No, thank you.
Y'all should check out Jason Goff on the Full Go podcast all season long. Y'all better follow it because Chicago will be popping this fall. Thank you, Charlie, for doing this. Podville, I love you. Thank you to all of our great producers, Serafina, Megan, Brian, Tez, Kevin, and Charlie again. You're a producer, too.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, all right. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.